introduce the esteemed members of panelists. Again, our moderator is Dr. Sara Al-Ghazar, Dean of College of International Transport and Logistics, Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport, and Economic Advisory for the Union of Arab Chambers. A warm welcome to our moderator. Please, as a courtesy to the next panel, be seated. Thank you so much. Our esteemed panelists, Hugh Chatring, CEO of Talk Technology from Shenzhen, China. Welcome. Mrs. Sonia Jannahi, Global Entrepreneur and Board Member of Bahrain Chamber. Welcome. Mrs. Alice Kabuli, Director of MENA Producers Trust, USA. Welcome on stage. Mrs. Rabab Khalaf, Head of Planning and Market Intelligence Export, Bahrain. Welcome to Bahrain. A big round of applause if you have any supporters in the room. Mr. Muhammad Mullah Yaqoob, Assistant Director General for Business Development, Kuwait Direct Investment and Promotion Authority, KDIPA. Welcome, sir. Mr. Ayman Idris Al-Awadi, member of Emirati Entrepreneurs Association. Welcome, sir. All the best for our panelists. Please be seated and be attentive. Maybe you will have some relevant questions to the very insightful panel here. All the best.
Thank you so much. So, good afternoon, everybody. It's our pleasure being with you today in this session. And also it's my honor and pleasure to be with this high-level panelists where we have actually very diversified speakers in terms of background, experience, field of work, and definitely nationalities as well. Our session today is talking about a very hot topic that tackling our life, especially in the recent years, and it touched everybody in his personal life as long as in his professional life, especially after COVID-19. Supply chain, logistics, access to market, the disruption in supply chain, the sustainability in the market, all these aspects now can be considered the most important aspect, not only for business to survive, but also in our day-to-day life to get our daily needs. When it comes to SMEs, all of us agree that SMEs present not less than from 80 to 90% of the organizations or business organization in any economy. However, although of this, still the contribution in the GDP is not as expected. Definitely there are many challenges that might be the reason beyond the low level of participation of SMEs in the supply chain, whether local or international. Maybe the accessibility to market needs some awareness regarding the market competition, the law, the international business policies, and definitely the access to financial institutions, the credibility, being able to compete with big business. But we can tell that supply chain also can be an opportunity for SMEs to work in the market because it can allow them many ways of diversification. So when we diversify the market, it means that we have bigger opportunity in terms of portfolio of business. In addition, having what we call sharing economy or synergy or economies of scale, because we can participate as SMEs in the logistics activities like warehousing, transportations, and the other in a way that allow us to use these facilities with low cost, but at the same time with the high possible efficiency and effectiveness. That's why we are here today to talk about this topic and to talk about the low participation of SMEs in international trade. What are the external and internal barriers that cause for this, and how we can adapt to new tools and the technologies and the strategies to unlock the challenges, and definitely how we can see the future regarding these aspects. I guess we can start with our speaker, Ayman Mohammed Mullah, the Assistant Director General for Business Development, Kuwait, Direct Investment and Promotion Authority. Definitely, Mr. Mohammed, you are as an expert in the area of investment and promotion, since the Kuwait Direct Investment and Promotion Authority is one of the recognized organizations in these aspects in the Arab world. How you can interpret the low participation of SMEs in international trade? What are the main reasons and what are the strategies that can be used to compete with larger companies in international trade?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction, Doctor. Actually, the SME's challenge is to get into the areas of the big logistics companies. These areas are already controlled, already have their stability, already have their areas. They, not intentionally, but it's difficult to penetrate this area. However, with COVID-19 and with the challenges and the new norms that happening, the SMEs get the advantage of moving faster than others. Okay, moving faster than the big logistics area to find new solutions. This is where the opportunity lies in. Government will help support these initiatives because still until now we are redefining the new norm of the logistics and the trade transportation around the world. So SME's opportunity lies down to give ideas to the government. It's the other way around, where the government role is to support these ideas and to give the opportunity for small, medium enterprises. This is the real opportunity lies in, and these are the challenges that the government try to help and support the small, medium enterprises. The big companies are still doing their job. Actually, the price is going higher because of the new norm and the demand that goes to around the different market. So that's why SMEs, again, they have their good opportunity to find a new solution where to redefine this industry by all. This is what I.
So from your work experience, how can you see that these policies might push forward the SMEs? And if you have some examples about this.
Can you come again?
Yes, from your experience, how you can see that creation of these policies can encourage SMEs, and if you have some examples from successful stories or even some companies that they have barriers and now they can sustain in the market due to these policies.
From our experience, actually, we find new areas where companies try to find new licensing for different type of trades. We support these kind of trades, and we try to revisit the policies that before where logistics, tycoon or big companies they monopolize the whole in and out ports of the country. So we try to give them more support. We try to give them a new, let me say, outlet to start from. We have to give them licensing, and we try to develop the new port to adopt for entering small solution and technology in this area.
Thank you so much for you. I'm moving now to Ms. Sonia. Ms. Sonia, you have a very long experience in the public world as board member of the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and at the same time you are board member of the Social Insurance Organization and also deputy board member of the International Labor Organization representing employers in Asia, but at the same time you are an entrepreneur. and at the same time you are innovative because you created your own brand in Bahrain in a very specific field, which is chocolate. And you succeeded to create identity to your brand, not only locally in Bahrain, but also in many other countries, whether regionally or globally. During this journey, definitely you faced many obstacles and many challenges, but at the same time you learned many lessons. If you can share with us now some of these lessons and what you recommend to any entrepreneur starting his business now, whether locally or internationally.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here, part of this esteemed panel. Getting into entrepreneurship is one of the most challenging experiences because it's an opportunity, but at the same time, it is an area where you have to be always updated, always advanced, always a step ahead of everything that is happening, and not just in your country, but even globally. Being an entrepreneur does not mean that we are restricted to the country where we start our business in. Today, the world is your opportunity, and every business we want to get into, we need to ask ourselves a very simple question. Will this project work if it goes outside my country? Will there be appetite for it? What is the competition that is there? And this is exactly what we did. My background is banking, and my specialization is real estate. But in 2006, when the real estate market was booming, I had my worries and my fears. And I realized that all my companies that I had established were focused exclusively on real estate. So I had to create a diversification, and that diversification was to go into the food business and focus also on what makes the world better, because we have to have a corporate social responsibility. So we focused on creating chocolate for a better world, where the chocolate has low sugar, low cocoa butter, and our dark chocolate is completely vegan, has no butter, has no milk. So at the end of the day, you are consuming something that is very delightful, but also very helpful to your body. Now, what are the challenges that we faced? Logistics. That was one of the main challenges that we faced. And if we look at the international world, let's take US. The volume of confectionery business that is sold online, and this is pre-COVID, not post-COVID, or during COVID, is worth more than 50 billion annually. The volume of confectionery that is sold online in the European Union is worth, again, billions annually. But when we come to the Arab world, unfortunately, we don't have that common ground of legislations and policies that supports businesses to have an international position. And by being a global brand, you don't have to physically go and spend money and open your business in every country. Our logistics, our policies should be unified to the extent that it supports entrepreneurs. When we look at the volume of entrepreneurs today in many countries, 90% and sometimes above, in Bahrain 98% are SMEs. And if SMEs do not focus on expanding their reach beyond the country, the borders that they are focused on, especially when it comes to a country like Bahrain, where you have a population of 1.7 million and a population of 200,000 that has purchasing power, so your horizon is limited. You have to expand beyond the borders. You have to send your products outside. And you start regionally initially because you speak the language, you understand the culture, and in many cases the culture is similar. But the challenges that we faced sending our products logistically, and we were shipping in excess of 30 tons of chocolate annually, was ridiculous. It was like we were talking different languages, we had different policies and different conditions, different regulations, And this is where the problem happens and restricts entrepreneurs from having that international presence. And this is what we need to focus on today. We need to focus on opening doors for entrepreneurs. Today we have an unemployment problem, and to focus on fixing that unemployment problem, we need to have more entrepreneurs. But if we're going to restrict our entrepreneurs by not giving them that global advantage, then we have a serious problem, especially in the Arab countries. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for these tips, actually, because you talked about very important aspects. You need from the beginning to think globally, because if you focus only on your local market, you will not be able to grow. But at the same time, it's very challenging, whether logistics-wise or even understanding the population or the clients you are penetrating in the market. Thank you so much. That will highlight a very important point related to the platforms and technology and the e-commerce, as you mentioned, even before COVID. That's why my question now to you, Alice, as the director of MENA for Producer Trust. You built the trust at the sources through novel value proposition across supply chain, stakeholders, to lead a win-win transition to sustainability. So actually this is your focus in your business or in your platform. So now we need to know, how can technology be leveraged to improve logistics, operations and supply chain management for SMEs and help SMEs to overcome market accessibility challenges mentioned by Ms. Sonia, such as reaching new customer or streamlining supply chain? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So we work with agriculture producers and many smallholder farmers. And I think we're realizing that digitalization can actually lead and accelerate a transition for them towards, as you mentioned, a sustainable and more resilient food systems and transparent supply chains. And we do this in 3 layers. What we've done for 6 years is that we've created marketing tools for smallholder farmers. Don't forget that many of these smallholder farmers, they don't even have access to creating a website to be able to market themselves. And they rely a lot on broker networks. So we've given them these tools to be able to be more visible and open up to options to access more buyers by creating a profile for them, taking pictures, marketing their products, without them needing to do all the operational part of managing the digital aspect. And this ties together with the end consumers, because what the end consumers today are demanding is actually transparency. If we take chocolate as an example, where does it come from? Where is it sourced? Where is it produced? Who is the farmer? So I think this is so important for smallholder farmers. Also, if they are doing something unique, it's the way for them to get access to market. And I also want to mention a third part, second and third, which is, the second, I would say, to tell a story is very important for smallholder farmers, and giving them a platform. So what our platform does is that it brings together smallholder farmers in a global community and connects them with buyers. So to be able to give them a voice and tell their story is very important. But what we're seeing now on the market is accountability. Many companies, for example, like Nestle as an example, they need to have data at source. So how do we support farmers to be able to provide this information, which would also de-risk their supply chains, right? Because if they have sustainability data at the farm, they'll be able to build relationships throughout the supply chain with insurance companies, with banks, with suppliers that need those sustainability claims. So data at source is becoming crucial, and I think we all need to partner in order to help smallholder farmers get access to the technology in order to be able to provide that.
whether we are talking about the supplier or the client. So that's very important to have like a platform kind of aggregator to aggregate all these together. This is from the USA perspective experience here. And again, we have also here Chinese experience where we can find also another solutions and another platforms and another technologies. So shooting as a CEO of the Talk Technology in Shenzhen, China, from your point of view, how can entrepreneurs access the Chinese market? Why I'm asking this question? Because Chinese market actually has different characteristics. So that's why we need to know more this big market, how can be accessed, especially what, for example, the role of one of companies like your company do for organizations in order to help them to access the Chinese market.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's a great honor to be here in this beautiful city, and it is a pleasure to share with you topics related to the Chinese market. The Chinese market is a booming market, and even during the last years of the COVID, the consumption in China has been growing very fast. So if an entrepreneur is ready to enter the Chinese market, then I have to say it is a very wise decision. But it is important to note that the Chinese market is very mature for e-commerce with 300 million e-commerce users as of 2022, which means that companies can reach good sales in the Chinese e-commerce market, but it also puts high demands on the responsiveness of the localized teams of companies. Logistics timeline is the average receiving time for Chinese e-commerce users is 2 to 7 days. So if you want to enter the Chinese market, for example, you have to solve the problem of item delivered timelines. This problem, if you can stock the goods in China local, it will be very easy to solve the problem. The rate of word of mouth in the local market, this can be solved by KOL. They can stand well in the perspective of Chinese users to dig out the selling parts of the product more applicable to Chinese users. The problem of cultural difference based on the needs of product users, you must analyze the customer groups to which their products are adapted. The consumption habits of Chinese users in super tier 1 cities may be very different from those in tier 3 and 4 cities, which determines whether your strategy is to start promoting in small cities and gradually cover big cities, or to promote from big cities first and then gradually cover users in small and medium cities through brand influence, which totally depends on your product positioning and marketing budget. Of course, to enter the Chinese market, enterprises are bound to face various policy problems. Okay.
Thank you so much. So we had now an overview from entrepreneurs' point of view, from Bahrain, from USA, and also from China. And definitely, we mentioned by Mr. Muhammad that the investment authorities should also encourage and support the entrepreneurs. It's like an ecosystem, and not only the entrepreneurs' homework or their efforts, but also the support from the government government and the policymakers. And that's why now I'm moving to Ms. Rabab, the head of Planning and Market Intelligence Export Bahrain. And when it comes to the experience related to developing mechanism for proper utilization and application of different strategic planning tools to identify business opportunities and enhance profitability for SMEs, we are talking about encouraging export. So that's why my question now to you is how to diversify supply chain, how to encourage the SMEs to export. So what are the strategies that can be employed by policymakers and the trade associations in order to maximize the benefits and minimize the risk of supply chain disruption for exporters?
First of all, thank you for having us here. I'm very glad and pleasured to be representing Export Bahrain as part of this panel. So over the past 4 years, we have, or the global economy actually experienced vast disruptions when it comes to supply chain. We have realized that supply chain is fragile. It has proven to us that the resilience in supply chain is actually a significant global issue that we need to tackle on. So during our course of work in Export Bahrain, we've witnessed entrepreneurs, particularly in the manufacturing sector, struggling with different consequences of such problems, namely inflation, weakened purchasing power, struggle when it comes to logistics and shipping management systems, struggles in sourcing important raw materials critical for their manufacturing process. So we have came into conclusion that diversifying your supply chain is very critical to ensure your supply chain sustainability and resiliency. Therefore, we've encouraged companies to come up with innovative solutions when approaching their supply chain diversification, and namely, what I can mention now is first, to diversify your suppliers. So by relying on different suppliers in multiple locations, you will make sure that in case anything goes wrong with one supplier or in any certain market, you will be covered. You will make sure that you can source your products accordingly, whether from one source or to another. And it will also bring you that source of flexibility when it comes to your cost savings, because you will be having different options of suppliers that you can rely on. You should also use multiple carriers. Mixing national and regional carriers can actually help you in terms of reducing costs of shipping. It can also help you in increasing the capacity required in case like you've decided to increase production for your exports. And it will also have you covered in case any of your carriers are facing issues related to global disruptions or related to maybe even labor issues. We also encourage using multiple fulfillment locations, selling points, distribution channels, and diversifying your customer base, which is equally important to diversifying your suppliers. You have to diversify your customer base and explore new markets. So in case any market is going through any of these external shocks, or any of your customers is actually prone to these risks, you will be covered. You will make sure you will be receiving your revenue from other sources of customers. And we actually witnessed this. Customers or businesses with higher supplier base diversification were actually less prone to external shocks and had higher inventory levels and profitability levels compared to those with lower diversification. So how are you benefiting? You're reducing risk, you're increasing your inventory, you're also increasing flexibility, and you're achieving greater resiliency to your supply chain.
So very promising. Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Ayman Idris, as a member of Emirati Entrepreneurs Association, you have very good exposure to entrepreneurs, and you meet always many entrepreneurs at different skills, whether young people or not young people, whether undergraduate or not at college, or even group entrepreneurs or individual entrepreneurs in different disciplinary. So actually you had experience over years that can let you predict the shape of the future, to see how the future of entrepreneurs can be. So what trends do you see shaping the supply chain and logistics future business for SMEs, and how we can be ready for the future in terms of supply chain diversification and prepare ourselves for this?
First of all, I'm very delighted to be taking part of this panel discussion, and this is a great opportunity to network and discuss relevant topics to all SMEs and entrepreneurs who are invited to this great forum. Entrepreneurs are the engine of the economy, because SME is contributing more than 80% of local economy, and that's the same in all GCC countries. Having said this, we are blessed in the UAE to have a cultivating environment, and with the great leadership of the country, to push this topic forward and put enough spotlight on it. And we have seen this introduction evolving since 2015 onward, and we have seen new terminologies being brought, such as business incubator, accelerator, venture capital, private equity firms, angel investors, and so forth. These are all elements of successful entrepreneurship ecosystem and startup ecosystem that we should have to be developed here, cultivated, and no wonder why UAE and Saudi, for example, are topping the place within the MENA region when it comes to entrepreneurship ecosystem. Having said this, entrepreneurs are always challenged through internal factor and external factor, as you have mentioned. One of the factors that we are always facing across all industries is coping with market competition. There is a lot of competition out there. Every day, a new business coming up with a new solution, and there are lots of promises out there, and we need to find out how to stand unique as an entrepreneur when we're doing business across all industries. Having said this, this is a challenge. A solution to it that I could propose based on my expertise is that we look after the new trends and initiatives that is taking place. We go back to our recent history of pandemic, that we had COVID-19. We can see the evolution and evolving of new business line, which is called telemedicine. So telemedicine was not available at first instance. And then the regulator bodies, they came in and then they adapted this regulation to enable telemedicine available for consumers. Today, through, for example, Dubai Health Authority app, I can take an appointment. I can talk to a doctor for consultation, and I can book my blood test and visit a clinic. And then this was not available before pandemic. Before pandemic, I had to make a physical presence to a clinic, take appointment while I'm there, and so forth. So doing this, it's actually enabling you to deliver new service and product in the region by using the telemedicine approach, in which the consumer will not leave 1 inch from his position at his own comfort zone. He was ordering COVID home kit solution, and he was processing it at home, and that's exactly what we need to do to cope up with market competition. The same way, if we go beyond the border, I myself took this opportunity where I saw there is great opportunity out there in Saudi because of Saudi 2030 vision. It created immense opportunity for all sectors in which I could see that there is a high demand of services and products in other jurisdictions. And that's where the entrepreneur should look around in the region and find those opportunity and to be market leader. Because if you are a market leader and have a footprint in that country, you would try to grasp the opportunity, understand who's who as player, and have access to the clientele in that region.
Thank you so much. So your services always are dynamic to adapt to the changes in the market and in the needs of entrepreneurs. That's why you started to provide new services and support according to the market need. And definitely it's very important to recognize how to commercialize our ideas. It's not about having good idea and being attached to this idea. It's how to commercialize the idea and to sustain in the market. That's true. So we had now like a quick tour with our speakers concerning the supply chain and logistics aspects for SMEs. And as we see together that we have on board some entrepreneurs who already illustrated their experience and their journey with their business and what are the obstacles and what are the advices they provide. Also, we discussed different market pattern according to different industries and different countries like China, USA, and even Bahrain. And also we had on board here the policymakers' point of view when we talked with the Authority of Investment in Kuwait and also the planning for exports from Bahrain. And finally, how to support the entrepreneurs using the facilities of entrepreneurs centers and incubators and hubs. So that's what we call ecosystem. The ecosystem for entrepreneurs. We cannot say that it's only the responsibility of entrepreneurs or even the developer of the platforms or even the encouragement of exporting due to different policies or even the association. It's actually aggregated work. I guess now it's time to open the questions for the floor.
Thank you for this very insightful. I think it's a start of communication. It's a flow. Access to market, challenges in supply chain, communication, the COVID repercussions, all these are, we are maybe talking about challenges, but there are out there opportunities. I see it, we are all COVID survivors. Many did not have a chance to be seated here today. So would like to open the floor for some questions. We still have 5 minutes, so we'll be very tough. Would not like to stand between you and lunch, and then we'll resume later on. So we have, maybe we can take 3 questions. Yes, can we take 3 questions, the lady?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my name is Dr. Khulud Al-Kattan. I'm from Bahrain. I'm a businesswoman, ex-banker, and currently a vice chairman of the Municipality Council. I'd like to thank all the distinguished guests for this insights and valuable information and their experiences. My question to you all, in particular to Ms. Sonia Janahi, and I think most of you have insight or opinion on this. What's in your experience, in your journey during COVID, what are the challenges and how you came up with it as a person and as a country where you are? Does the country provide any help or plans that helps you in your journey to overcome the obstacles and the challenges? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Definitely, this was an experience where the entrepreneurs and the government worked together to support each other, to sustain the economy in total. And this is where both the public and private sector proved, in spite of COVID being a difficult time, it proved how public and private sector can work together. From a personal capacity, we immediately started reducing costs, controlling expenses. Cash flow was a problem, and we had to focus on one thing: sustainability. Profit was not a question. Being successful was not a question. It was about just sustaining the model and riding the wave until we know what was the situation, because the most critical thing during COVID was that it was vague. We had no indication when it will end, how soon it will end, and this is why we had to take drastic decisions to avoid harming the business model. And alhamdulillah, what we did was reduce the business model, make it efficient, make it cost-worthy. So parallel to that, the government, supported by waiving the electricity for us for a few months, supported in paying the private sector local salaries. They also supported in a lot of logistical issues when we had problems in the raw materials. We had a lot of issues brought to Bahrain, be it medical supplies, be it food security supplies. And this is where we work together hand in hand, and a lot of small businesses managed to be sustainable and avoid the problems of COVID, because the government was listening, the government was supportive and adding value to us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a gentleman here. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Khalid. I'm particularly interested in how we can support startups and entrepreneurs. So my question to the panel is, how can the big players in the logistics open up their knowledge, experience, and also be part of that development for the ecosystem? So can we see innovation from the big players? And I just want your opinion, because we have some programs with one particular big player, but we need more.
Excellent. I love this question. Thank you so much. One of the major issues we have that we work in silos, and that's a problem. The beauty is to create mergers, to create strategic partnerships. If I am a company that would need logistics because I have products that need to go beyond my country, then I need to hook up and become a partner with a company that is an expert in logistics and can open global horizons for me. One of the challenges I've seen that a lot of people think, partnership is taboo. On the contrary, partnership is the way forward. Partnership is how you grow big. You reduce your risks, you reduce your losses, you reduce and control your exposure, and you open up global horizons. So it's very important that as logistics companies, they need to look at small organizations that have potential to go beyond the territory that they're in, and to partner with them, be it a strategic affiliation, be it a joint venture, to open up broader horizons. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to the SME, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. They have a situation with cash flow. And logistics, as my colleague said today, is becoming a major complication, especially post-COVID and during COVID, and still, we're still suffering from the expenses of logistics and the expenses of insurance. So the only way to get over that is to actually work in partnership together to support these SMEs, not just become successful, but grow bigger. And without logistics, it's absolutely impossible. Even with the most efficient e-commerce, if you don't have the logistics to support the e-commerce, then you haven't done anything. Thank you.
We take another question. Maybe a lady here, then the gentleman.
Hello everyone, and thank you for the informative session. My name is Mariam Al-Mansouri. I'm the founder of Jomoon, the first vegan creamery in Bahrain. My question is related to what Ms. Qabli have said. You've touched based on digitization and automation, which is something that I aspire to adapt in my manufacturing. Having said that, there's a challenge of how much the country or the geographical place that we are in is ready for such an adaptation, and what would be the consequences if we choose not to go for digitization and automation. On the contrary, I'm a bit greedy. I have another question which I open. Okay.
I think in our experience for the smallholder farmers that we are working with, for them to go international, the marketing tools, to have digital marketing tools have been essential, because how will they reach an international audience and how will they tell their stories of who they are and what they produce and what practices they use without having a digital footprint? I think in today's world, if you don't have a digital footprint, it's very difficult to reach and get access on an international scale.
Second question.
Okay, my second question is something that I have experienced with Exports Bahrain, and Ms. Khalaf would know about it, which is basically when you have a relatively new product, it is hard to have, I wouldn't say 100%, but at least a reliable market research, because you don't have a specific SKUs, for instance. How to overcome such a problem, especially with vegan cheeses. They are made of zillions of raw materials, so there isn't such information base that we can extract our data from. Thank you.
Quick answer.
Okay, so this is a very valid question. I think, as what Ms. Sonia rightly mentioned, there should be a sort of partnership between the public and the private sector. When it comes to something sensitive like vegan food, where lots of active ingredients comes into process, this will require a lot of standards and regulations that are actually varied among different countries. So in these sorts of partnerships, public companies or entrepreneurs can actually capitalize using these partnerships and will actually get these information from the experienced company in the private sector that is working in quality management, whether it was like food or cosmetics quality management, and provide the required and relevant certificates to export such products or to develop it as well. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Just if I may add something here. Actually, what we learned from COVID and the new norm of the businesses, both government and SMEs should listen to each other and should propose a new ways of doing business in order for the government are adopting resilience and being understanding for the small, medium enterprises and how to make business in the new world. Actually, one of the experience that we have in Kuwait, that we enforce or one of the categories for enhance our the investor experience in Kuwait and getting more benefit out of investing is to supply the value chain. However, we try to listen together and we try to reduce the gap or bridge the communication between the SMEs and the policymakers.
Thank you. Mr. Ayman, you have a solicitation here. You would like to answer?
I just would like to give my reflection on the thought process here, which is very fascinating from my dear panelists here. To tap on the internal and external factors of what everyday entrepreneurs and SMEs are facing on, I have a resolution with through this element, if we abide to it, it will solve all of our problem, which is through corporate governance. The corporate governance will give you the transparency of your business, will give you access to the capital market, will allow foreign direct investment to approach you and invest in your business, will allow sustainability of your business, will allow succession of your business to go to second generation, third generation. And these elements are very crucial for sustainability of every business, because pandemic is just what we saw. We are going to see many more others coming, because that's the nature of life, and we need to adapt these changes. And through corporate governance, it will allow this sustainability for your business, being an entrepreneur or SME. And this is something that we need to embrace, and we need to catch up for the corporate governance framework. And the region is embracing it since years ago. And this is something that I would like all SMEs and entrepreneurs to take it very seriously. Thank you.
Mr. Ayman, keep the mic, keep the mic, because there is a lady here who has a question for you.
السلام عليكم. وحيدة دكتورة وحيدة ألدوي, board member of Bahraini Businesswoman and board member of Fujairah also. We are trying to do like a business. We have a business on Dubai and Fujairah, but unfortunately different rules between the two. This is all Emiratis. We have a very bad situation in this rule. So how we join you and how you assist the entrepreneurs of all the 7 countries. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayman.
Great. Yes, indeed, it's challenging environment because we've got the federal law, and each emirate is governed by a local law, and therefore, in terms of business practices and local requirements from one city to another, it differs. However, the foundation is same. So what we do is that we help the entrepreneurs to understand the foundations and the business practices and the business compliances, which is very important, because ignoring these compliancy practices will lead to penalties and delay of accessing these markets. I believe the same is available in the West. It's just that understanding the nature of the market and not ignoring it is very crucial for SMEs and entrepreneurs in order for them to sell their products and services in a convenient way.
Mr. Ayman, she's also asking if she can join the Emirati Entrepreneurs Association as a Bahraini business.
Sure.
So,
Secretary to the board, Mr. Ahmed Al-Raisi, is here in the back, and he will be happy to help you in the process and engage you throughout your request, inshallah. Okay?
Done. Happy? Very happy. Now, one very quick last question, and we wrap up because we don't want to stand between people and lunch.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me admit that you ladies are very courageous to participate in this title, Unlocking Growth in Logistics SMEs and Diversifying Supply Chains. Number one, are you talking about unlocking the growth in the SMEs or in the logistics, provided to the SMEs? And how will you be able to, solve the problems of regulations, rules, and all, especially that when you talk about supply chains, it is trans-countries procedures.
Quick answer for a challenging question. Yes, take it. Let me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abedli. Well, it's not easy. It takes many years of work, but this is why we get involved in different positions that gives us the opportunity to express. And this is the main reason why I became a board member of the Bahrain Chamber, where I can express the challenges and I can speak about the mistakes that I did so that I can help every other SME avoid these mistakes and these faults and these problems that I have faced. Today, when you get into a position like the board member of Chamber, it also gives you access to the Union of Arab Chambers and the Union of GCC Chambers. We are given the opportunity to express solutions, ideas that can support the entire region and not just one country. And we capitalize on these opportunities through the committees that we have created, through the board members who are themselves entrepreneurs who have burnt their fingers many times and understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur and what it needs for them and the entire community to flourish. And we use these examples and escalate it to that level. And I'm very proud to say that today one of the greatest achievements that we have done is that we have received an agreement from the GCC Ministers of Commerce to also protect trademarks, regional trademarks, and that issue has been approved today, and that is one of the initiatives that the Bahrain Chamber with the Union of the GCC and Arab Chambers raised to the Ministers of Commerce, and they have approved it, and today they are working on the policy that even if you are a business that came out of Bahrain but you have a trademark in UAE, the government, the Ministry of Commerce can protect you, can ensure that your brand is not abused. And it is a first step towards a long milestone, but we never give up. We have hope, and there are challenges, but there's also hope and channels to do the right thing.
Thank you. We have gone beyond time, but no offense to a lady. We'll take a last question from the lady, then the gentleman. You can interact with the panel when we are done, because we would like to, no, we are valuing their precious time. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Just one last question for the lady.
Thank you very much. My question to Mr. Aynan. I am the president of African Businesswomen. We would like to organize in Dubai a meeting on how to finance women and young people, entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
That's easy. Repeat the question. She is the African woman business?
I am the president of African Businesswomen Entrepreneurs. We would like to organize in Dubai a forum on how to finance project of women entrepreneurs and young people. I think that we can establish a partnership with your organization. Thank you very much.
Very easy. Yes?
Yes, it's my pleasure to support you in the process. We actually received delegation from India for G20 Young Entrepreneurship Alliance. And that was just yesterday, took place in Emirates Towers. We were having honor to be co-organizer to receive the India delegation and map them with the UAE delegation, and created the opportunity where they can contribute and participate in the G20 New Delhi, which is happening in July. So I'm happy to assist you in the process.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all these questions which enrich our session actually. Looking forward to other sessions after lunch. Any other thing should we add from our speakers here? So now, thank you for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will resume around 2 o'clock. But before we leave the stage, a commemorative photo, group photo as usual, to celebrate you. Come on over here. Photographers, where are you? Media, where are you? For Bahrain, to make them happy.